You
I'm
walk
so
into a
glad
room
you all
and
could
within
make
3 seconds, you know
This place looks amazing,
who's angry,
Sarah.
who's pretending, who's about to leave. Everyone calls it emotional intelligence. It's not. It's a threat detection system you built as a child, and no one taught you how to turn it off. There's a word for this skill that gets used a lot in this corner of the internet. Empath. Highly sensitive, intuitive. A few decades of pop psychology have dressed it up as a gift, something rare, something deep, something to be proud of.
Open it.
And the people who
This
have
place
it
is
are
actually
proud.
pretty nice.
They should be.
I told
The
you
skill is
ambiance
real.
was worth it.
What gets skipped is where it came from, and what it actually does when nobody's watching. Three things in this
The
video.
scanner processes the data.
What the scanner
Then
actually
the
is,
builder
who
organizes
builds
it.
one,
Finally, we analyze
and what it quietly costs you every day in a room that isn't even dangerous anymore. Here's the thing. Stephen Porges at the University of North Carolina spent 30 years mapping how the nervous system evaluates safety. He coined a word for the circuit, neuroception. Not perception, neuroception. The prefix matters. Perception is conscious. You look at something, you think about it, you decide what it means. Neuroception runs underneath that. It's the brain
I'm so
scanning the
glad we
environment for
finally
safety
woke up.
and threat
Me too.
without
The
asking you
room looks
first.
amazing in this light.
It reads faces, postures, micro-expressions, tones of voice, distances between bodies. It does this constantly. Everyone has this circuit. What varies is the volume. In most people, neuroception runs quiet. It flags danger when danger is present and goes back to baseline when the room is safe.
Yes.
In another group of people, the circuit runs at a different setting. It's turned up. It doesn't just flag threat, it scans for it, continuously. Looking for the first micro shift in someone's jaw before anyone else notices it's happening.
another
Tracking
glass of
who's
wine,
about to
perhaps?
say something uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Detecting
if we
tension between
rearrange the
two people
furniture like
across the
this,
room
it
from
will
tiny
open up the
cues
whole-
most adults can't consciously register. This is the skill the internet calls emotional intelligence. Porges would call it something less flattering, a nervous system calibrated for high-threat environments. Now, where does high calibration come from? Porges' research and a broader body of work from Shonkoff and colleagues at Harvard tell the same story from different angles. A child in a predictable, warm environment develops one setting. A child in an unpredictable environment develops another. Not because the child
There it
decides
goes, the
to,
lines are thickening.
because the nervous system trains itself
And
based on
pulsing
what
right
keeps
to the
it
output.
safe.
Excellent.
If the adults in the house were volatile, the child learned to read them before they erupted. If the caregivers had mood swings, the child learned the micro-signal that preceded each one. If there was addiction, or illness, or chronic stress, or a parent who came home and you had to know within 2 seconds which version of them walked through the door, the scanner turned up. And it stayed up. This isn't pathology. It's adaptation. A child in a high variability environment who develops sharp neuroception is doing exactly what the system is designed to do. It worked. It kept them safe. The skill is real because the need was real. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. That child grows up, leaves the house, builds a life, and the scanner stays on. Think about that for a second. The 8-year-old built a surveillance system to survive a specific environment. The 35-year-old is in a totally different room, a friend's apartment, a partner's kitchen, a quiet office. And the system is still running. Same intensity. Same volume. Reading every micro shift in every face.
These ideas.
Tracking every
Exactly,
distance
it flows
between
right
every
back to the
body.
main point.
Cataloging every tone change. In a room that doesn't require any of it. There are 4 rooms the adult version of this person is still reading. Room 1, the friend group, the dinner party, the gathering. While everyone else
so
is
good to
laughing,
see everyone
part
here
of the
tonight.
attention is elsewhere. monitoring who just went quiet,
Yeah, we
who's
should do this
drinking
more
faster,
This chicken
who
is
hasn't spoken to
actually
whom in the
amazing.
last 10
You have
minutes.
to try it.
I know, right?
Room
I'm
2,
so happy
the
right
intimate
now.
relationship. The partner walks in the door, and the scanner is already running. Voice pitch, shoulder height, the exact quality of the hello. A full diagnostic in under 2 seconds. Room 3, the work meeting. Who's about to interrupt whom? Whose boss is secretly frustrated? Who's pretending to agree? Most of the useful signal in the meeting, caught instantly. Also most of the useless signal, also a lot of signal that isn't even there. Because a scanner calibrated for threat finds threat whether or not it exists. Room 4, the ordinary public space. The cafe, the bus, the waiting room. Not looking at anyone directly, but knowing, roughly, instantly, who's anxious, who's angry, who's off. No effort, no pause. Yeah, that's exhausting. And most people running the scanner don't even know they're running it, because they've been running it since before they had language to describe it. It doesn't feel like a system. It feels like them. Which brings us to the cost. And this is the part nobody talks about,
And then she told him exactly
because the skill
what she
is
thought.
flattering.
I can't believe she said
Who
that.
wants to look at the invoice under a gift? Attention first. The scanner takes bandwidth. Constant background processing of every face, every tone, every distance in every room. The conscious mind gets what's left. This is why the person who reads every room often struggles with sustained focus on their own work. Not because their attention is weak, because most of it is already spoken for. Allocated before they sit down to a task no one assigned them and no one would thank
Feel
them
the
for
energy
completing.
lines extending outwards.
Intimacy second.
We scan the perimeter.
A scanner in the room is a scanner in the bed. Reading a partner's micro shifts
wine is
means
actually quite
registering
good.
disappointment before the
I
partner
agree.
has
Where did
finished
you find it?
registering it themselves.
It was a small vineyard I visited last.
Offering comfort, correction, repair, before the partner has even identified the feeling. The partner experiences this as uncanny at first, then helpful, then suffocating. Because intimacy requires some opacity. Two people need to occasionally not know exactly what the other is feeling. The scanner makes that impossible from one side. The person being read stops being a separate mind and starts being a surface to be decoded. Connection becomes surveillance, wearing a different hat. And the body third. Martin Teicher at McLean Hospital spent decades tracking what chronic stress system activation does to the physiology of adults who were calibrated this way in childhood. The findings are consistent. Elevated resting cortisol, disrupted sleep architecture, increased inflammatory markers, cardiovascular strain. The nervous system that's been scanning for threat for 30 years without a break doesn't just feel tired. It has measurable wear.
I really like
The
what you've
person
done with
often
the place.
describes
That
themselves
was
as
hilarious. I
sensitive
still can't believe it
or
happened.
needs more
Same
downtime
here.
than others.
All right.
Wait, did you see
The
that sign on
downtime
door?
isn't rest.
The do not disturb
It's
one.
recovery
What
from
about it?
continuous operation. The body has been at work the whole time. There was someone at a dinner party.
I'm so glad we could all get together.
Mid-30s,
tonight.
sharp, warm,
Cheers
well-liked.
to that.
Table of 6, candles, a slow winter evening. At some point in the meal, she noticed two of the guests, a couple, hadn't looked at each other for about 4 minutes. She noticed because she tracks that.
Are you enjoying the wine?
She then noticed the way one of them was holding the stem of their wine glass a little too tightly. She noticed that the other one's laugh had changed register slightly. She began rotating the conversation,
And then he said,
asking the quieter
"That's
one
not
a
my
question,
dog. Can you believe
softening
it?"
the space between them.
I mean,
By the
who
end of
says
dinner,
that?
nobody at the table, including the couple themselves, knew there had been anything to repair. She went home, lay awake until 3, couldn't name why she was wired, decided it was too much wine. It wasn't. The scanner had run for 6 hours in a room where nothing was actually wrong, and the body was still reporting in long after everyone else had gone to sleep. Okay, that one hits. Sit with it for a second. Now, how to tell the difference. Genuine attunement and old alarm look identical from the outside. Both read the room. Both pick up signals others miss. Internally, they feel nothing alike. Genuine attunement is
We brought the
curiosity-based.
books you wanted to borrow.
Oh, wonderful.
You notice
Come on
something, you're interested. You might act on it or might not. Your body stays regulated.
Tea is really good.
The signal comes in,
and
gets
the-
processed, gets released. Old alarm is threat-based. You notice something, the system tightens. Something in the chest or stomach grips. There's a pull to intervene or manage or fix. The signal comes in and doesn't leave. It converts to vigilance. 2 tests. Test 1, after you read the room, does your body settle or does it wind tighter? Test 2, can you choose not to act on the signal? Or does not acting feel unsafe? Curiosity lets the signal pass.
So,
Alarm
are you doing
can't.
anything fun this weekend?
And here's the harder question underneath. The one most people in this audience know and don't want to open. Not because you can't read the room, but because
And then she
reading it
said,
is
"I
the
can't
only way
believe
you've
it."
known how to stay in it.
That
Soren
is
spent years
hilarious.
calling
I
that a
wish I had
skill.
seen her-
It was. It was also a leash. Not because the skill was wrong, but because the alternative had been hidden for so long he didn't know it existed. The first adjustment isn't to turn the scanner off. You can't. It's too old, too deep, too structural to just deactivate. The first adjustment is to start noticing when it's running in a room where it doesn't need to. That's it. Just noticing. A dinner with good friends, a quiet evening with a trusted
And I
partner,
swear, the
a
look on his
low-stakes
face when the
coffee.
squirrel jumped out.
You catch the scanner
Oh
running.
my gosh,
You don't try to
And
stop
then
it.
he said, I can't believe
You just
it.
say internally, nowhere
way.
important. The room is safe. This is on from before. Naming it. That's the whole first move. The rest comes later. That's not emotional intelligence. That's a surveillance system you built at 8, still running at 35, in rooms that haven't needed it in decades. And right now, someone watching this is in a room, maybe a real one, maybe a remembered one, and the scanner is on. And they're realizing they don't know how long it's been since it was off. Next, a woman, late 30s, lies in bed at 3 in the morning, convinced a decision she made 6 months ago was the worst of her life. By 9 the next morning, she's fine. She's going to think this is because her feelings are truer at night. It's not. There's a very specific neuroscience reason the 3 a.m. version of you sounds convincing, and it has nothing to do with depth.